Bon dia, Vacorja. Hello, everybody. Emer Burke here. Welcome to another Tea with the Druid, and this is Tea with the Druid 405, brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. So let me see where people are from. North Germany, Portugal, Prince Edward Island, and Canada. Leiden in the Netherlands, Orkney, far away, Wiltshire. Where people are from. Croatia, lovely to see you all. Cloudy, the cloudy Pacific Northwest beaches. Derbyshire, East Sussex, East Lancashire, Derbyshire again, Lincolnshire, North London, Boston, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, Guildford, sunny Lincoln. Hello from Italy, Wyoming, Sussex, Bath, beautiful South Wales, sunny South Wales. It's been sunny here today. I'm just seeing a little bit of the setting sun just out my window. Wonderful. Denmark, Newcastle. Greetings from a sun-kissed Dartmoor. That's beautiful. Buffalo, Belgium, Leipzig. Wonderful to see you all. Southwest Colorado, beautiful. Ontario and Canada, sunny Cornwall. Isn't it lovely to hear the words sunny, particularly from this side of the world? And then there's Wyoming as well. Brilliant. Wonderful to see that. Saskatchewan in Canada. Wonderful. So you're all very, very welcome. And I suppose we're coming up to close to Bealtaine now. And this is when I was walking in the woods earlier today and just eating dandelion flowers and just really experiencing the sweetness and looking at all the flowers. The bluebells are just wild in the woods where I go. And it's just beautifully contrasted, the blue of the flowers with the green leaves, and always, a harbinger of hope, or the days are getting longer. There's we say a stretch in the evening, and that always for me brings just an increase in energy and hope, and that's in my little bubble. And then the rest of the world, in lots of parts, are really, really suffering. So I'm going to start with a story. Truth and Lie, well, they were twin brothers. And one day they stood at the bank of a river just outside the town. And Lie challenged Truth to a race, claiming he could get to the other side of the river before Truth could. And then he said, these are the rules. We both take off our clothes. I will count to 3. And on 3, we both jump in and begin the race. So they both took off their clothes. Lie counted to 3, 1, 2, 3. And on 3, Truth jumped in and began swimming, but Lie didn't. And as Truth was swimming across the river, what did Lie do? He went and he put on Truth's clothes and left the river, headed back into town, parading himself up and down the streets, the great man presenting himself as Truth. So Truth went to the other side of the river and swam back, and then went to look for his clothes, and they were gone. And all that were left were Lie's clothes, and there was no way he was wearing the clothes of his brother Lie. So he said, well, I have no other choice but to walk back into town. So he did. Walked back into town naked. And the people stared at him and glared at him. And he tried to explain what had happened. That he, in fact, was Truth, and that it was his brother who was wearing his clothes, his brother Lie. But because he was naked and uncomfortable to look at, well, people mocked him and they shunned him. And they refused to believe that he really was Truth. The people in the town, well, and they chose to believe Lie because, well, he was dressed appropriately. And he was easier on the eye. He looked quite handsome, dressed as Truth. And from that day until this, well, there are many, many people who've come to believe a lie rather than believe a naked Truth. Now, there's another version of that story and maybe another end. Truth, naked as he was, never gave up. never gave in to lie. And he continued to walk the earth, travel from place to place, unclothed, unadorned, as naked as his name. But whoever saw him, they just turned away in shame or fear, and they gave him no welcome. So he wandered the earth, and he was rebuffed, and he was unwanted. Heartbroken, dejected, and lonely, but he didn't give up. No. And then he noticed Story. Even though she travelled from town to town just as he did, well, her experience was completely different. She would ride into town dressed in the finest of clothes, beautiful colours, on the back of a beautiful horse. And everybody loved her smile and the sound of her sweet voice, and it was like music pouring out of her. But one day she came across Truth, who was huddled inside a doorway of an old ruin, cold and naked. And she was concerned, and she got down from her horse and she went over to him and worried and said, why had he fallen so low? And then Truth explained to her that his nakedness frightened people and that he was unwelcomed and he was shunned by everybody. Nobody wanted him. Well, Truth took pity on him. And Story took pity on Truth and picked him up, put him up on her horse, and brought him home. And there she dressed Truth in Story. She warmed him, she fed him, and then she sent him out again. But this time, clothed in Story, Truth began knocking on the doors, but this time was readily welcomed into the villagers' houses, and they invited him in to eat at their tables and warm himself by their fires. While naked truth is hard to accept, truths within the context of a story makes much more sense and much easier to hear. And now at the moment, there's so many lies that people are willing to believe and truths that people are unwilling to believe. How do we manage all of this? I recently watched an interview with two men, Aziz Abu Sara and Maoz Inon. Aziz is a Palestinian and Maoz is an Israeli Jew. And they've written a book together called The Future is Peace. Now, I was in tears as I watched this conversation. I listened to it. When Aziz was 10 years old, he witnessed the death of his brother, who died as a result of injuries while he was detained in an Israeli prison. He was only 8, and from that moment, or 10, he swore revenge, and he held that in his heart for 8 years. But when he was 18, he decided to learn some Hebrew. And his Hebrew teacher was really, really kind to him. She was absolutely lovely to him. And this was the first time he experienced an Israeli treating him as if he was a human being. And the way she treated him, there was something that shifted in his own heart. And he began to change. Maoz Inon, his parents lived in a kibbutz close to the border with Gaza. And both his parents were killed on October 7th in 2023 in the Hamas attack. And when he and his siblings were sitting Shiva, which is the Jewish mourning period, his younger brother suggested to his siblings that they not seek revenge for the murder of their parents, and they agreed. Now, Aziz and Maoz didn't know each other, and at this time, Aziz, when he heard about what happened, contacted Maoz to offer him his condolences. They met and they decided that they would work together. That they would turn their suffering, their pain, their grief into activism for peace and justice. And they chose reconciliation over revenge in this Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, this was not easy. It was a really painful process because it involved speaking the truth and listening to the truth. It involved having honest dialogue and facing painful stories. And what helped was when Aziz would take in Maus to see what was happening in Palestine, and Maus would take him to Holocaust exhibitions, etc. They began to hear each other's story. And that their message is about how empathy can break the cycle of hatred, violence, and war. And I was really moved by this and so impressed, having come from being Irish, being colonized by the British. One of the things for me that healed that wound, because it's a painful wound when you've been colonized and your language is taken from you and your culture, etc., was joining OBOD. Healed that wound between the two countries for me. That's not to say I don't get upset when I see what's going on in other parts of the world when there are war crimes being perpetrated against people. However, I can come back to peace within myself. And there's a quotation by Schopenhauer. I just read it. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. We're not there yet, but I'm hoping that we'll come to that. And speaking the truth can be popular and dangerous. Yola Morganic had this phrase called truth against the world. That sounds kind of aggressive. And I like to think of truth as something like a ladder leaning against a wall for support. And in Irish, it's an Irina inayan down, which means truth facing the world. And I think if we can model ourselves on the likes of Aziz and Maus, we begin to find reconciliation. And we also have conflicts within ourselves. There are the bigger conflicts in the world that for many of us feel so helpless, despite protesting, despite talking about it and signing petitions, that nothing seems to be able to change. But these two men are in their own world, are starting from where they are, engaging in honest dialogue towards reconciliation and seeing the other as a human being. Yes, somebody says, I always heard the truth will out. Exactly. And Anna says, thank you for the story. My daughter and grandchildren live in Israel, and I pray for their safety every day. Many people do not realize that there are many Israelis who've been protesting their corrupt government for years and who desire only peace and harmony with all their neighbours. I too have very close Israeli friends who are exactly like that. Yes, lovely story. It made me think of 2 things. That's lies are often dressed as truth, and also that it's harder to accept a lie than face the bare naked truth. Absolutely, absolutely. So there are the big lies in the world, but also the lies we tell ourselves. And there may be lies within, because we all have, I suppose most of us have some kind of conflict within. And how do we manage that? How do we face the truth? And maybe we become more honest with ourselves and feel through our feelings, so we may be an example as we become the change we want to see in the world. Absolutely, Jade. And this is what I'm coming to, is that it comes back to ourselves. If we can't resolve the conflicts or even work towards resolving the conflicts within ourselves and find some reconciliation within. And then there's finding the reconciliation within our families. I mean, I don't think we all come from beautiful, harmonious families. There's so often conflict. Or there's family history, all sorts of stuff. And then into the wider circle. But we need to start with that, having honest conversations with ourselves. And when stories are acknowledged, that goes a long way towards easing people's pain. And people who've experienced trauma, when that trauma and their experience is acknowledged, that aids their recovery and helps avoid, we say, the long-term effects like post-traumatic stress disorder when people's stories are acknowledged. You can't change them, but you acknowledge them. And I'm very impressed with these two men who've decided not to wreak, because this is a current thing, um, not to look for revenge, but to seek reconciliation. So let's gather ourselves. Just find a comfortable spot or position in front of your screen and allow yourself just to lay aside any disturbing thoughts and to feel yourself fully present as you sit in the chair facing the screen, feeling the floor, the earth beneath your feet, the ceiling above you, the walls around you. Just begin to focus on your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. With every in-breath, there are possibilities, and with every out-breath, there's a letting go. Just allowing yourself to be here present in this moment. And now I invite you to allow your awareness of yourself sitting in the chair in front of your screen to see yourself on a plain, beautiful green grass around you. And up ahead, you can see a forest with beautiful lush trees, sensing an invitation to walk towards those trees. And as you get closer, you notice that it's like the trees part a little bit to invite you in, and you see a path before you. Accepting the invitation to enter that forest, you begin to follow the path, feeling the earth beneath your feet, feeling its energies with every step. Sensing the trees around you, sensing the smells, the colors, and the textures, and all the sounds around you. And with every step, as you put one step in front of the other, you become drawing up the powerful energy of the earth, up through the soles of your feet, up through into your feet, your ankles, your legs, your thighs, up into your torso, filling the center of your being, feeling energized by the earth, feeling at home, feeling nourished, feeling held with every footstep, allowing that earth energy to fill every cell of your body. And now I invite you to look upward. You can see the sky through the trees. Notice its color. And invite down the energy of the sky right down to the top of your head. Right down into the center of your being. Sense it, feel it, see it swirling around within you. And the energy of the earth meets the energy of the sky, and they spiral together in a dance within you. Again, filling every cell of your body. Feeling the nourishment and the strength and the support of the earth beneath your feet, the sky above you. And with every breath, you draw in the energy of the trees. Being aware of how you exchange your breath with the trees. As you breathe out carbon dioxide, they breathe it in. And as they breathe out the oxygen, you breathe that in. A wonderful exchange between you and the forest around you. And you continue walking. You come to a clearing in the forest. And now it's nighttime, but the moon is full. And in her fullness, she's able to light this clearing in the forest. And in the center of this clearing is a well. And you notice you're not alone. Standing around this well are fellow druids. Some you might recognize, some you might not know, but you know. This is a fellowship. This is a grove of druids, a place of community, of homecoming, friendship, of safety, of support. And you sense an invitation to go up to that well. And if you like, you can kneel down at that well and peer over at the still water. At the beginning, you can see the reflection of the moon in the well. The dark water contrasted with the silvery light of the moon. And then you look in deeper and you see your own reflection. You see yourself as you truly are, naked, the truth of who you are. This might be frightening. You might be afraid of what you might see if you take a true, deep look at yourself. But know that this is an opportunity for discovery. For awareness, for insight. And as you see the truth of your reflection, how do you feel? Well, I invite you to imagine or to see your body as story, a container for the truth of who you are. And you notice a cup beside the well. And you sense an invitation to pick up that cup, dip it into the well, and drink from that cup of truth, the truth of who you are. Naked truth can be wonderful, it can be beautiful, it can be challenging, it can be painful. But held within the story of your being, you can find some reconciliation and peace within that story. So drink that water and take it into your being and feel its coolness filling you. But with that reconciliation, it's never about getting rid of the bad and the things we don't like about ourselves, but integrating it into our beings, because truth is not perfect. Perfection is an illusion. But know that you have the strength, the story of your being, to hold the truth of who you really are. If you need to take more of that well-water dew into your being. And this is a well of healing, a well of remembering, a well of truth. It also gives you the strength to hold the truth of who you are. You can dip your hands into the well, and then you can lave yourself with the water and hold some water to your heart. Having empathy for yourself and for your story. Bringing together all the parts of yourself into an expression of reconciliation. It's time to leave now, and if you need to replace the cup on the side of the well and give thanks to the well, the water of the well, the healing sacred waters of that well, and for the moonlight supporting you, and take your place once more in the circle of your fellow druids. And now you're ready to return, to leave this clearing in the forest, holding truth within your story, feeling held, supported. You nod in acknowledgement to the well, the water, the moon, and you begin walking back along that path through the forest. Then you come to the edge and you go through, and it's daylight once more, onto that green plain. And you begin to walk on, and then you look back, that doorway, that pathway, it's as if it's never opened. Just like a wall of trees, but you know you can go back there whenever you wish. So now you allow your awareness of yourself standing on that plane to fade as you become more aware of yourself sitting in front of your screen, with the floor beneath your feet and the ceiling above you and the walls around you. You begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, and with a stretch, take a big deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes. So Kathy says, inner conflict is the biggest challenge for me. I know who and how I want to be, but I am not. Oh, welcome to the club, Kathy. Brendan, focusing on our sphere of influence is doable and fruitful. It's the path to personal growth and peace, indeed. The story put a lot of things into context for me. I think empathy is the most precious gift we can develop. Forgiveness. We may not be responsible for world conflicts, but we can start within. Truth is not perfect. Yes, acceptance. Interestingly, this is Jerry says, this talk and meditation is making me think of the Tarot Two of Cups. Self-acceptance, even though not perfect. Love. Yeah. Truth shall prevail. It always does. Thank you. Healing is a choice, for sure, oftentimes. Beautiful being here. Truth is often nuanced. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Yeah. Perfection is an illusion. I needed to hear that. Well, it took me a long time to accept that. the funny thing about perfectionism, when I have clients, I'd say, you're a perfectionist. No, I'm not. I'm always getting it wrong. I said, well, there you are. Perfectionists never get it right. And Liz finds inspiration to work into her own practice. Beautiful. Just how are the people feeling? Self-acceptance is more a body feeling than a head feeling for me. Yeah. One reason dance helps me, that you can get out of your head and you just move. There's such magic in that, isn't there? The truth is like medicine. It can be sour and not taste well, but at the same time, very healing. Yeah, I like bitters, and I find bitter medicine really good, and truth can be bitter. It's been so drinking from the cup of the well of wisdom to learn self-understanding. Grief always brings the truth we cannot escape, indeed. I had a moment with my sister and dog who recently passed. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I've never been here before. This is exactly where I am. Thank you. All right. Lovely. So, thank you for being here and for engaging. I'm conscious, how crazy our world is. How all the certainties I had, even though there never were certainties, but I had illusions of certainty, or how the way the world is going, and everything is just turned upside down. We have an expression, Bunos Cion, in Irish, and so I think meditations like this. I love the peace prayer, just the still center of my being, to keep grounded in all this in the world. And Jade says, I do my best to remember that a belief is not necessarily the truth, as there's always a lie in a current belief. And there's a Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, where you accept yourself as perfectly imperfect. I think so. We have to be truthful within our own hearts before we can begin to face the truth in the world, and to have compassion for those who cause pain. And remember, people who cause pain are coming from their own pain. When they're hurting you, it's very hard to see that. Deborah says, seeing my reflection, I thought, who is that old woman? Acceptance of aging is tough. But with wrinkles comes loads of wisdom. Can you remember when you were younger how insecure you were? Just enjoy that. Well, I do anyway. I find wrinkles are now more assuring. Nature is a blanket when you need it, a hug. That's right, Alwyn, yeah. I wish I could leave myself behind sometimes. Yes, Judith. I think this is all about that. These are the internal conflicts. This part of me I do not like. I wish I was different. But it's about bringing them in and weaving them in, making all those parts of you your friend. So can you imagine if we were all nice, how boring life would be? Lisa says, this reminds me of a beautiful song, The Water in the Well by Miriam Friedman. Lovely. I don't know that song. It's always beautiful when fellow human beings recognize each other's journey, finding a common ground for a mission of understanding and peace. Yeah. Radical acceptance is what it is. So thank you all for joining me this evening. And there's more coming in. Sorry, I can't resist this. In order to feel compassion for those who hurt us, we must begin to look at ourselves with compassion. Yep. So I wish you all the best for Bealtaine, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and for Samhain in the Southern Hemisphere. And have a good evening or a good morning or good afternoon if you're watching a recording of this tea. Not easy to be brave enough, especially as a woman in these times, to dare to face own truth. Thank you for creating a secret place to try. Absolutely. Great. So much love to you all, and hopefully I will see you. I'll see those of you who are going to come for biscuits. I'll see you on the other side. And hopefully I'll see you again next month. So in the meantime, slán go fóill.